Hey guys, it's Angie, also known as The Light. Welcome to my channel. Like this video, subscribe, share this video if you want to. If you'd like to make a donation to me, you can do so. If you feel I've helped you heal, if you like my videos and you want to send me a love donation, you can do so. That information will be in the comment section. If you don't see it, write me a comment and I will comment back to you, and I will guide you how to make a donation to me. If you want to book a conversation, you can do so. I can help you heal from narcissistic abuse. I can talk to you about spiritual experiences, or I can help you navigate in a relationship through a particular zodiac sign. So all that information will be in my comment section. Okay, so today's video, this is like my second time trying to get through this video. Don't know why, because it's a very simple topic. But basically, I've heard people say like, why does the narcissist push my buttons? Why does the narcissist shit test me? So shit testing basically is when you meet the narcissist in the beginning, they test your boundaries. And once they know that, they study you. Once they know what they can say to you, what they can get away with, that helps them navigate through the relationship with you. And this is why boundaries are extremely important. And I always hear people say to me, sorry if you hear so much noise. I'm outside in front of my house. I live in New York. I try to record in my backyard, but my neighbors are having a barbecue. So it's either you hear cars or you're going to hear Mexican music. So I chose the sounds of cars. But anyway, this is why boundaries is important. This is the reason why the narcissist was able to capture you, because you didn't have boundaries. You don't have boundaries. Whether you want to agree with that or not, you don't have boundaries, because if you did, people won't be able to pierce through you. So the narcissist watches you. They hear your stories, they gather your information, and they compute it in their mind, and they go, oh, okay, I know what's going to trigger him or her. I know what can make her cry. I know what makes them sad. I know what makes them happy. They've been analyzing you from day one. If they're your parents, they've still been analyzing you from day one. Wanted to let that loud ass truck go by. So, because of this is why they are so bold. Some people say, well, damn, how could they be so bold to keep coming back and doing stuff? Because you taught them, it's okay for you to treat me this way. I'm going to handle it. So one thing I would say is, when you also grow up in a narcissistic home, or abusive home, you have a high tolerance for bullshit. High tolerance. And this feeds into your romantic relationships, your friendships, and this is why you also continue to attract narcissists. So because I grew up in a home where my mother was getting beat, the narc stepfather was cheating, beating my mom, coming home late at night, doing all this disrespectful stuff that normalizes in your mind, like, okay, that's normal. And I wasn't being taught, okay, what's going on in this home isn't natural, isn't healthy, Angie. I wasn't being taught that. I was just internalizing that, thinking that, well, that's how everyone's family is. And this is what happens because you grew up in a narcissistic home. You have a very thick skin for bullshit. And this is why the empath and the narcissist is a perfect match, okay? So you are going to allow people to cross your boundaries. You are going to allow people to disrespect you. And this is why they test you, because you're an easy target. You have a very thick skin to be manipulated, to be used, all of that, to be abused. So they should test you. They test you in the beginning to see how much this individual was going to take. Because trust me, there was many times when narcissists, they didn't cross the line with me the way that they crossed the line with their other supplies. Okay, they knew, all right, I can only say this or that to Angie, but if I say this to her or I do this to her, she's going to spaz on me. So we all have a limit. Don't get me wrong. As much as, you may be an empath or you may be an abused individual, we all have boundaries. We all have a ticking point where if somebody did something and said something to us, we might end up in jail. We all have that point, and a narcissist is aware of that. So they're not going to do too much, or they're not going to do too little. As if your narcissistic abuse was so extreme, that means you had absolutely no boundaries at all. None. None at all. And they knew and they were aware that no matter what I do to this individual, they're going to stay. They're going to allow me to use them for whatever I need them for. So I had my ex narc best friend. He would use this method a lot. Okay, he would say certain things to me, abusive things. He would do things, just very disrespectful things, very very disrespectful, disgusting things. And there was times where it would lead me to hit him. I ain't gonna lie. There was times where it would lead me to push him, hit him, throw his phone, do all kind of. It was a very, I mean, it was like we were like Bobby and Whitney Houston without the sex, pretty much, and out the drugs too. But just that volatile type of relationship, that friendship, that it was just like, how y'all best friends when y'all are acting like Whitney and Bobby? Y'all are toxic as hell. So I always get this question like, oh, like, why do they keep coming back? They keep coming back because they have memory. They know that you're not to your limit yet. Once a narc knows that you're to your limit, they're not going to return. Once they know they're not going to be able to get through to you, I've had narcissists disappear on me because they knew that last incident that they did, that last, straw that they pulled, it was like, yeah, Angie's not going to let me come back in her life. They didn't call you, they didn't text you, they're not going to call me and text me because they know that was it. They used they played all their cards. So that's why sometimes the narc doesn't return to you, because they know that they pulled that last straw with you. They know that they passed your boundary point. And shout out to my ex fiance from years ago. I was engaged when I was like 23 years old. And he said to me, you know what I noticed? You let people talk to you any kind of way. You never correct individuals. Why do you do that? He said, let me tell you something. When somebody violates you the first time, from the beginning, nip that shit in the bud right there. And, years later, I wish I was able to understand that then. I wouldn't have had to go through so much narcissistic abuse even after we fell apart. You have to have boundaries and you have to live like that. Because if you correct to think about it, this also will protect you sometimes from narcissists. The narcissist is testing you in the beginning. So imagine if you had all these boundaries, right? Imagine if you had all these boundaries, and when they met you and they tested you in the beginning, right? And you nipped that shit in the bud. You gave that don't F for me attitude from the beginning. You know how many narcissistic, abusive relationships you could have avoided? Friendships, romantic relationships, even with your parents, even with your family. Be like a wall, be stone. Some people say, wow, you're so serious. Good. Because my seriousness, it is a defense mechanism. It's to let you know, I'm not going to lie, I don't walk around smiling. No. Most of the time my face looks like this. Play with me if you want to. And it's sad that you have to live like that sometimes, but it works for me. I'd rather be respected than loved. I know that sounds crazy, but I do. I'd rather be trusted than loved. So these are different tactics that you need to do. You need to create boundaries so people don't play with you. And don't don't be afraid of confrontation. And confrontation is not a bad thing. Don't be a punk. Don't be a sucker. It's okay. Don't be afraid of discussion. Don't be. Let me tell you something. All manipulators will test you. All manipulators, all abusers will test you to see how weak. This is why, you know, pedophiles will give children candy, will do favors for them. They're getting you comfortable, okay? Before they literally F you over. They're getting you comfortable. They're grooming you. Narcissists groom you first. This doesn't just happen overnight. They're testing you from the beginning. Okay, so I remember like when I would date narcissistic men, their way of testing to see, okay, how much can I do to Angie was usually, okay, standing me up, not calling, disappearing, and then waiting to see what my reaction is. Those are like the classic ones. And usually I let it slide. I believe their little lies. Oh, I fell asleep, or I was busy, or I was this, I was that. And it escalates after that. When they know that they can disappear on you, stand you up, not be there for you when you really need them, the abuse will intensify after that. It will get worse. You would find yourself in more and more situations where they're just taking from you. You're constantly giving. They're disrespecting you to your face. They're disrespecting you in front of people. When they're, let me tell you something. Embarrass a narc. Embarrass a narc. Don't get me wrong. You will pay hell. But for me, I have embarrassed narcs. Like, oh, you want to embarrass me? I got you. I will embarrass you. Don't be afraid to. Oh, they said a joke right back at them. Yeah, they're gonna flip, but train them too. Train them right back. Whatever energy that they're giving you, give it right back to them because they can't handle it. They can't handle it. I've had narcs try to embarrass me publicly, and you got to be sharp sometimes with your words. You have to be sharp with your tongue. But that is the real reason why these narcissists are trying you, because they already gave you a temperature. They already check your temperature from the beginning of how much abuse that they can give you. What can they say to you? What can't they say to you? They know your triggers. They know you better than you know yourselves. That's the reason why. It's really that simple. It's technically your fault. Because if you had boundaries, then they wouldn't know their limit with you. Okay? And all manipulators do this. So my advice to you is to create boundaries. Pay attention when you feel like somebody's pushing your buttons. Correct people. You know what? You don't respect my time, and I don't like that. You're always late. You stand me up. You're flaky. Address these things with people. You know what? I didn't like when you said that. You know what? I noticed that you do this, you do that. When you point that out to narcissists or, manipulators or whoever, or shady, flaky people, that's letting them know they can't fuck with you. And if they're real, they will change. And if they don't, they will flee from you. Okay? I have dodged a couple of narcissistic men. I'm not going to say narcissistic men don't approach me anymore. They do. It's not at a high, quantity as it used to be. Quantity as it used to be. But now when a narcissistic guy, excuse me, approaches me and they kind of like ghost, and I think back, I'm like, oh, I think he was a narcissist, because they come off with the sob story. They start being flaky. They do all these little narc things that narcs do to test you, and then they just suddenly disappear. Things are going good. They just disappear. And when I think back to it, to the tactics that they were using, I said, oh, I had boundaries. I wasn't answering all the questions they wanted me to. I had boundaries. I wasn't letting them cross those boundaries. Once a narc is able to cross your boundaries, that's it. They know they got you. They're gonna shit test you. Okay? So get some boundaries. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Get some boundaries, and that should kind of help you out a lot to filter out the negative individuals. All right, I'll do more videos. Peace.